Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name's Teri, and here's my friend Dr. Gail. And we are here to talk about witches today on Galactic Gaia, how they heal, what they are, what they do, and the different types of witches.
Yes, we're talking about the different types of witches, and so we're just taking a small segment of all the information that's out there about witches. And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that are witches or practicing witches that could tell us a lot more. But we're just going to go into the different categories, and I think that's what we're going to just start off with, is the categories. And first is the green witches, which they focus on herbs, plants, nature, and earth healing. Do you have anything to say about that, Teri?
Yeah, that's my mom.
Yeah.
That was my mom. And she healed with herbs, and people would come to her, family would come to her all the time, people in the neighborhood for herbs and information. And her dad was a homeopathic doctor. So it was like in
Oh,
the
wow.
blood.
That was. Do you know what she prescribed the most or what she gave out the most? Do you remember?
Yeah, there was something called Doc's juice, and it came in a huge 2-gallon jug, glass jug, and it smelled like the swamp. And you could drink it for arthritis. You could soak a big, huge thing of yarn in it and use it as a poultice. You could soak a bandana in it for a sore throat. I mean, you could do all sorts of things with it.
Do you still do all this?
No, I won't touch stock shoes, but lots of tissue salts. Like my kids grew up taking tissue salts and charcoal if somebody wasn't feeling well or had their stomach upset, all sorts of different things. So
So
and
why
lots of
would you
herbs,
move away from it? It's like me growing up drinking castor oil.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. And
touch it.
yeah, we still do a lot of it. Like I have a ton of herbs here, and I also work a lot with Chinese
Mhm.
herbs, and Vedic. Ashwanga and all that. Um, so, so we still use it, and we have tinctures, a lot of tinctures, but so it's kind of evolved a little bit.
Okay. All right. Well, the next category is kitchen witches,
Oh,
which we both discussed this. And this is people who cooking, food, intentional preparation, and um, heart hearth energy, which is the hearth, cooking in the hearth, a fireplace. And so, yeah, those are kitchen witches. And I didn't even know before reading this that we had such a thing as kitchen witches. But you were saying how it made such good sense about that.
yeah. I know so many people, and I do this too. Is food is our love language. We love to feed people. It's how we give people love. And you can sure tell the difference, can't you, when somebody's cooked with love or somebody's like mad or they just slopped it on the table. So it's like the energy if you went to KFC is so different than something that your mom or your grandma or you made,
Right.
you know, with love.
Okay. All right. Next category is cosmic or lunar witches, which
Oh,
is what they work with the moon phases, astrology, and planetary energies. So, yeah, I'm wondering though, if the cosmic or lunar witches, which we all seem to kind of work with the moon phases, uh, and a little bit with the astrology, but question then would be: are astrologers witches or witches astrologers?
yeah. And it feels like I went in and channeled a bit, and I what I felt was that the witches work both with the sky and and the moon and the sun and the stars, and as well as inner earth beings. So they kind of go in between the realms with their energy and their magic.
Yes. And, I had talked about earlier how in my childhood, I always said if I would have been practicing witch if it hadn't have been for, peer pressure,
Yeah,
because I always felt like the energies on the earth, especially like the wind, the water, the fire, and earth, all those things were important. And those were things that we needed to be honoring. And of course, the sky and what was below us. I felt at that time, even as a teenager in the early 20s, that's what I should be honoring. But I kept saying peer pressure won't allow you to do that. And here it comes back around 100 years later, and 100 years later, 100 years older, And here we are talking about it again,
Right?
which is
Yeah.
more acceptable now.
It is really acceptable now, and it's, I was somewhere the other day and somebody was talking about, "Oh, how do you feel about that intuitively?" And I just looked over and I was like, "Yes, thank you." So many different aspects of what we've been talking about for so long are becoming more intuitive or intertwined, in our collective.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, the next category is the electric witches, which they mix, oh no, eclectic, I'm sorry, electric is eclectic. And they mix traditions from many spiritual systems, which that's probably most of them. And then there's the hedge witches, which traditionally associated with spirit journeys, dream work, crossing between worlds spiritually. And of course, that, to me, that feels like the shamans, which
Mhm.
again are the shamans, witches or witches shamans. Well, which way does that go? Which way does that go? But
Yeah.
so anyway, those are the different categories and the different types of witches and what different things they practice. That's just all we were going to really talk about in the beginning, because looking at the information out there about them, there's so many of them, and we plan to bring in people who are practicing witchcraft and can enlighten us on some more information. So we'll be having some shows about them later.
Yeah, yeah, and if you're out there and you see this and you are practicing witch, or you're just finding out that that might be a term that could apply to you, please email us or, contact us. So, and comment and see if let us know if you like this. I went to, mediumship years and year probably 30 or 40 years ago, and somebody said, "Okay, somebody's mom won't stop talking and they're Wiccan. Who
Yeah,
is that?" And then she looked
that's your
straight at
mother.
me. Yeah. And I was like, "Well, I wouldn't call her Wiccan." She's like, "Well, did she work with the earth?" And I'm like, "Yep." So, it's a term that, the connotation of it, I think, is going to come back into our vocabulary differently now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the information today. I think that's it for today, Terry. What do you think?
Yep. I think that's it. All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody. And look for us again, Galactic Gaia, and on our channels, Skywalking with Moon and Holding Your Space. We'll see you later. Bye bye.
Bye bye.